What if the reason you feel overwhelmed isn't what's happening, but where your brain is putting it? Most people think they're reacting to events. They're not. They're reacting to how their nervous system has organized those events in time. And if you don't consciously choose that organization, your brain does it for you. Today, we're going to slow that down. We're going to see it. And then we're going to change it.
This is Realigned and Unfiltered.
Together, we're peeling back the layers, exploring consciousness, and transforming life's messiness into meaning. Hello.
Hey, Carly. I am very excited for today's episode.
Me too. I'm very, very intrigued in learning a little bit more NLP today.
Yes, some neuro-linguistic programming. So today, for all of our listeners, we're going to be doing something very specific. We're not going to be talking about world events. We're not analyzing headlines. We are going to examine how your nervous system organizes time. Because what most people don't understand is that we're not responding to the events that are happening around us. We're responding to where our brain has placed those events in our internal timeline. And you're probably listening to this and you're like, what? Like internal timeline? Or what does this mean? I want you to just stay connected to this process and things will reveal themselves to you as I guide you through this experience. Because I'm going to walk you through a process and you'll feel it and understand it as things get revealed through your responses that I walk you through today.
I'm super curious. I'm super
Okay.
interested. As a polyvagal therapist, I've done, a lot of training with the nervous system, a lot of training in nervous system regulation, befriending the nervous system. I walk people through that a lot. I don't know that I've ever heard we're not responding to events. We're
Yeah.
responding to where it's play. Say it again.
Mhm. Yeah, we're responding to where it's placed, where our brain is placing that information spatially. So,
Right, right. So that's curious to me.
yeah,
I mean, our nervous system activates to threat. And so we hear something that's really, really awful. Our nervous system's like, hey, threat detected. And then we go into some form of nervous system activation or deactivation in some ways. And we have these physical reactions, and then it impacts our thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors. And I work from that lens with people a lot of the time. So I'm
yeah,
super curious to understand how time comes into play here. I'm really,
yeah,
really this is cool, I think, for people listening and watching because we're two people who work with different forms of healing technique. And it's really neat to see how I can learn from you and how you can learn from me. And I'm super curious and excited
yeah.
to be the guinea pig.
Carly has never even heard of what this is about. Like, you don't know this process, right?
Do not. I do not.
Yeah.
I do a form of timeline therapy myself. It's timeline visualization. I do more of like a hypnosis thing where we go into often shadow work and inner child processing. We do often go into the future in terms of like visualizing our highest, most aligned future and then anchoring that for ourselves. So I do a lot of work in
Okay.
different timelines, but I
Yeah.
think this is different.
I think there's a flavor that's different here. Um,
Cool.
but let's jump into it and then we could see for ourselves, right? How it all works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. So, well, before we actually jump into it, what I want to just say is like our mind, it codes information spatially. And what I mean by that, for some of you, when I ask, about your past, the past is maybe behind you. And the future may feel like if it's in front of you. For others, the past may feel like it's to the left of them and the future is to the right of them. Some people store the future above them and some feel the future coming toward them. And this is what I mean. This is not like a philosophical thing, it's a neurological way of how we're storing that time. And so, like today, when large amounts of information, emotionally charged information, enter the collective field, your system has to decide, okay, where does this go? Does it go in front of us as, maybe a threat? Does it go behind us, maybe like history, or or is it something that is above us, something that's looming around
Mhm.
us?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that information inside of us? Is it part of our identity, right? Most people, we're also not consciously choosing that placement. And wherever that emotional charged information gets placed, it determines how we're feeling. It determines our emotional state.
Right,
So,
and I think this is a really helpful explanation that you're giving because as you're saying it, I'm kind of feeling it out and thinking like,
mm,
I don't know that I've ever really consciously considered where I place time around
mhm.
me. And I'm assuming that maybe many of our listeners have also not considered that. So if this sounds a little out there for you, listener, really try and tune in and feel into what Diana's saying because this is just another version of bringing what's in the unconscious into the conscious. And the more that we bring our unconscious into our the more that we bring our unconscious into our conscious lens, into our conscious field, the more choice we have in the way that life plays out. And that's a really beautiful thing for our nervous system and for our mind, for our sense of being as we go through life.
Right, right, exactly. Okay, so today we are going to do three things pretty much in this process that I'm walking through. We're going to identify how you personally encode time. Carly is going to be again the guinea pig. I'm going to walk her through this, but I'll, help listeners also go through this as well. So we're going to identify how you personally encode time. We're going to separate the collective information um, from your personal timeline. And then we're going to reposition your future so that it serves you instead of hijacks you. Okay. So, again, this is not about denial. We're not denying the information that's out there, the global events that are occurring. We're just neurologically organizing that information. Again, because when we change that coding of time in our system, we change our emotional response to it. And when we change our emotional response, we change our behavior. So it all works together. It's so good. And I'm excited about it.
Very cool.
Okay, Carly. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find out how your mind organizes time. Okay. And so when you think of something that happened last week, where does it appear relative to you? Like, is it in front of you? Is it behind you? Left, right, above, below? Where does that show up?
Okay, let me think about something specific. I feel like it's a little bit behind me and to the left.
Okay.
Okay.
Behind you and to the left. Okay.
Yeah, definitely
And
behind me.
all right, would you say it's arranged like in a line? Is it a circle? Is it a curve?
The memory?
The way that it feels behind you. Does it feel like it's in a straight line behind you?
No, it's kind of like a soft, I guess, curved kind of memory. This is
Okay.
weird.
Yeah, it feels weird for sure to begin with. So okay, so you're mentioning it's to the left behind you and kind of curved.
Mhm.
All right. And for when you think about your future, how does that feel? Are you in your future? Is it in front of you? Is it on top of you? When you think about something in your future, where does that show up for you?
It feels kind of directly in front of me and maybe up a little bit.
Okay. So front and up a little bit. Okay. Great. And then for those listeners, I want you to check yours now too as well. Is your future in front of you? Is it off to one side? Does it move toward you? I want you to lock in that orientation. So Carly, good. Now that's your personal timeline. The one that you contains your lived memories, past is to the left behind you. Your projected future is to the front, kind of above you, right? So again,
And I feel like when I feel into that future front ahead of me a little bit up, I feel like I have like a magnetic pull towards it. I feel a connection to the future.
all right. So now we've determined your personal timeline. And again, for those listeners, lock that in for yourself too. Okay. Know where your future is and your past. All right. So now that we've determined that, I want you to think about a piece of information piece of world information that we have right now that may be feeling heavy or very charged. And I want you to imagine, a global timeline, the timeline of governments and media and systems and all the collective events that's happening. Where does that information sit in your timeline? Is it in your future, right? Is it in your present? Does it feel close, far?
Do you know what's interesting? I can do two things here. Usually, for me, I would say if I tune into where I'm usually at, I would say that it feels way far outside of me to the left or to the right. I don't know, like pretty outside of me, like way outside of me. Um, this week, however, I felt like it hit me, like it hit me or it landed. It had access to me in a way that it doesn't usually have. I walked a lot of people through a lot of things, and I felt the global narrative in a way that I haven't and don't usually feel. And so when you say, think of the global narrative, and I isolated one, I could feel it right around my stomach, really close, maybe almost inside of me. That's really interesting to notice. So let's work with that one because that's present, but I'm aware that that's not normally how it feels for me.
Good. Great. So, would you say that your two timelines, right? Your personal timeline where you saw your future, when you look towards your future now, does that information come with it or is it separate?
It feels relatively stuck in my kind of central area, like stomach, in my body. Feels kind of stuck, like almost like I can't move forward with it right there.
Good. So, you mentioned that you notice it does affect you, your physiology, right? You notice it more in like in your stomach area there. And what I would like to ask is so, did you consciously decide to place that information there or did it just kind of like land there?
Yeah, this week it just landed there. I'm usually quite conscious of keeping global narratives outside of my system. And this week, I had a lot of access points through a lot of people to a global narrative that I would normally keep at a distance. And it definitely landed in my body uninvited.
So I want you to notice that information is entering your field, but it's not your identity, right? It's not your destiny. It's not your timeline unless you position it there. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate them. And would like you to do is move this global timeline where you're feeling it. And I want you to move it to its own track, parallel to your future timeline. Your future timeline was above and in front of you, right? I want you to move it parallel to that, but that's not intersecting. So take that piece of information where you're feeling it and gently move it farther away. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do that with visualization, but also with my hands. Okay, so I'm physically placing it kind of in front, a little bit above and to the right. Now move
I
it
want you to
behind
move
me.
it behind you. Move it behind you.
Okay.
As something that's occurring, it's a global timeline. It's not your personal timeline. Okay. Great. What shifts? What's shifted?
I feel more like myself. I feel a little freer. I am aware of it over kind of to the right behind me. I'm aware of it. I'm quite aware of the war for my attention.
Mm,
I think probably many people can understand what narrative has a war for your attention. And that typically doesn't get into my system, but this week it did. And I'm very aware of that war.
So in your body, when you moved that to the right and behind you, what did you feel happen in your body as you did that?
The pressure released in my belly.
Good. So now I want you to look at your personal future timeline without that energy in it.
Mhm.
And what's different now?
Now I feel like I can move more towards it. Like I feel like I'm blending towards it again.
Okay. So what I just want to point out here is that our state, it follows a structure, right? So the information that's coming is external, but our timeline is internal and they're not the same thing. So what I want to encourage our listeners here, check this for yourself. If
Hmm.
your future is being defined by your choices or by these events that are happening in this global timeline, realize that these are two different structures, that, this information exists in the world, but our brain decides where this information goes into our future, or does it stay outside of it? And that's what we're doing right now, right? We're changing the structure of how this information sits within you.
So I can know the information. I can know that it's there. I can know that it exists. It's in my conscious awareness, but it's not in my body or it's not in my timeline. It's a thing that I know exists, but it's outside of me.
Right, right. Because we're being informed all the time, right? We're not going to stop the information from happening in the world, but it doesn't require us to be emotionally fused with that information, right? We could observe this timeline, the world timeline, without inserting it into our personal projection, what we're projecting for our own future. And that's what we're working through here.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now, okay, is we're going to think of a time where you have felt clear, where you have felt grounded, where you have felt capable. And you don't have to say this out loud, just nod your head and let me know when you have thought of a time where you felt clear, capable, and grounded. And for those listeners, also, I want you to identify a time you felt clear, capable, and grounded.
Okay.
Okay. So, where is that memory located in your timeline?
When you say timeline, do you mean like physically around me,
Around you. Yes.
spatially around me? I feel like I feel it right in my face, in my forehead, in my face.
Okay, good. I want you to, if you can, bring that even closer. I want you to step into that feeling fully. And as you do that, let it expand forward along your future timeline that you identified before. Let it extend through that future timeline. And I also want you to let it travel backward along your past.
Okay.
Okay, great. Now I want you to just look at your future again. Now we've removed the collective information, right? We've moved that into a separate timeline. We've had you install this new resource where you're capable, grounded, and oriented. What do you feel is different when you think about your future timeline?
It feels like I'm more fused with the future.
Good, good. That means your timeline is adjustable, right?
Mhm.
And what I want everyone here to understand really is that if you're listening to this, we're not here to try to control any of these global events that are occurring, but we could absolutely control where they sit in our neurology, right? And to Carly, as you said, wherever they sit, it determines how you feel walking into that future, right? You just mentioned
Mhm.
right now how you feel like you're more fused with this future that you first identified. And so the question that we're asking here is, where are we placing that, what's going on in the world inside of us? And I'm just going to keep bringing that up because, our timeline, it's not fixed. Our timeline, it's something that we can structure, and that structure can be changed. And that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Okay, so on that note then, you're saying that the structure of our future timeline is not fixed, it can be changed. And here's something I'm noticing and something that I've noticed is it can be changed. And it can either be changed by us or it can be changed by someone else. All these global narratives that are hijacking our nervous systems and hijacking they're hijacking our timelines because there's a global narrative happening right now, and I felt it in my gut. I felt it in my belly. I felt it in my body, and it impacted and affected the way that I was able to move forward into a very aligned future that I've already worked pretty hard on. It was impacting me. So it's like this week, a little bit, I got hijacked
Mhm.
by perhaps those who are interested in changing our timelines to go a direction that serves a darker purpose.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my belief, anyways. And so, what you're bringing here is that we can change our timeline. We can change where we allow things to sit within us or outside of us in order to move into the timeline that we want to move into versus that someone else or something else might want us to move into. This is pretty big. This isn't just you can make the future the way you want. It's you can stop yourself by being hijacked and directed
Yeah.
the way that certain narratives or powers may like to direct you.
Right. Right. It's about taking our power back in the manner that we can control, right? Because we're not going to stop the bombardment of information that's coming through. I don't think it's going to decrease. I think it's going to accelerate. I think there's a lot more that's going to keep coming out at us. Um and again, like before this process, I want us to really think about that we have really absorbed a lot of timelines, a lot of hijacking unconsciously, right? It's all been unconscious. And so what we're doing and what you said in the beginning of this is taking that unconscious to the conscious, right? We're making the unconscious conscious and we're realizing, oh man, I have been hijacked. I
Mhm.
am being like overrun and overruled and like God, I feel like absolute crap. Like it's really derailing how I feel about my week, how I'm talking to my husband, I'm snapping at my kids. It's like, okay, this is a process that you could work through to kind of, okay, where is it sitting? Where is it feeling? And I will list out the steps in the description so everybody here can follow it. But what I want us to really notice is that again, there's always going to be this global timeline that's trying to hijack us to go along with it, to feed it, to expand this bigger, different, darker, if you want to call it that, whatever purpose and agenda that's going on. And there's always going to be information that's moving across, and things and events are completely outside of our control. But when it comes to our personal timeline, we are the ones who determine how we think, how we decide, and how we get to act and lead through all of this. And that is structurally ours, right? When these events get coded, we get hijacked, they become part of our personal future, our body starts reacting like it's an inevitable part of our future. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to properly categorize that so that our physiology could stabilize. Like I mean, you this week as you mentioned, for many people throughout this time or with all this global revelations going on, we feel that. We feel it somewhere in our body. So we want our clarity to return. We want the way we make choices to return, and that the agency of making those choices back in our power, back in our
Right.
control.
And we want to be able to visualize a future that we want to move forward into and not in a like, I'm visualizing $1 million in my bank account and having no boss and blah, blah. Not like so much that, but we don't know what the world is going to look like and we can't know, but we can know how we want to be as we walk through whatever our world looks like. And
Mhm.
that's more so what I'm visualizing as I'm visualizing this in front and above and fusing with this future. I know how I want to walk through the world, whatever it looks like, whether it's burning down or underwater or whatever it is. And there have been a lot of people making a lot of points like, but we've lost so much. We've lost our jobs. We've lost our autonomy. We're worried for our children, all of these things. And I think that is true. That is the case. And so I guess I think, can you do this here, Diana, with that? Like, where does that sit in your field? And can you choose to move it? Can you move it over to the side? Can you move it to the behind?
Right. Well, yeah, because what I would say is like being informed of something, like we have to stay informed of what's going on to a certain extent, to a certain level.
Mhm.
And I think it's an intelligent thing to do, like stay informed of what's going on, but we don't have to, again, be emotionally fused to that. It's optional to emotionally completely connect with it. We could observe what's going on in the world without putting it into our future timeline, into our destiny, what we feel, without surrendering the authorship we have over our own lives.
Right. Okay. So let's use this example. So, for somebody who works in tech of some kind, and AI is getting better and better all the time, and AI is starting to make a lot of people's jobs pointless from what I'm seeing. And so certain people are realizing, okay, AI is about to take over my job, or people have actually lost their jobs because AI has come in and can do it faster and for free. So people who have, let's just say, recently or will be recently losing their jobs to AI, how would they take that? Okay, I've lost my job or I'm about to lose my job because of this new thing that's coming in, and there's a lot of global excitement about AI and a lot of global panic about AI because what's it going to mean for humans and income and all of these things. How could somebody make that adjustment where they're able to imagine a future and move towards a future even though they're actually currently experiencing loss? So it's a global narrative thing and a personal experience thing. How could we offer that to our listeners to
Well,
work
I would say it's this exact process, right? It's realizing things are connected. There's levels of influence, like that AI is influencing my job. It's taking away my job, and I would say that this process is staying focused on that aspect. It's like, okay, what is it that we could control? I mean, I've gotten laid off a couple of times before, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't control. Like I couldn't stop it as much as I'm like, no, like I need this job. I couldn't control it, but I
Mhm.
had to stay focused on what I could control. So I had to learn, okay, regulating my nervous system, first realizing where is it sitting in my body and separating from it is literally separating the timeline of like, this is separate from me now. What is it that I could focus my energy that is going to feed the timeline that I do want to experience?
Okay,
And
yeah.
that's
So
what
what I'm hearing is I've lost my job and I'm full of anger, fear, whatever. I'm full of this feeling because I've lost my job. And it's like right here. It's right here, let's say in my chest. Let me now move that into my past. Let me move that into a thing that's happened, but not a thing that's happening, so that I can now take some agency in the present, then to move into a future where I don't bring this fear and this joblessness with me. Is that right?
right. So when a question that I'll pose is like when you fuse to that the event that's occurring, right? Like I just lost my job and you really fuse to it emotionally and anchored to it. Basically what's happening outside of you and how you internalize your life as you move forward, like how you've thought of your life moving forward. If those two things are connecting, like they're combining timelines, like your
Mhm.
personal timeline and a outside timeline, it's combining, it's fusing. What I would offer as a question is like, does that feel like it's increasing any type of clarity in your life? Or is it causing more anxiety? Right? And let your nervous system answer that. And once you feel and recognize, okay, yeah, it does feel better with me separating this, which structure is going to serve you better? How do you want to structure that so that you can move forward in a way again that's going to help you feel empowered toward working to your future timeline that you want to be in.
Right. I think that's helpful because for me, with this practice that we just demonstrated, I was thinking about a global narrative that really has nothing to do with me.
Hmm.
It's disturbing and it's causing a lot of fear and uncertainty when it comes to the world we live in. But on a personal level, it's not personally impacting my day, let's say, unless I kind of get caught up with it and then it is. But it's not this global shift towards AI that's then affecting my actual job, where then my actual sense of security and
Exactly.
safety is impacted. So I'm thinking about this as this can seem a little high concept in some
Yes.
ways, but I want to bring it down to people who are like, hey, no, but in this moment, my security is absolutely threatened. I've lost my job or I've
Right.
lost my home or, my children are directly in danger. These are security moments when our security is directly taking a hit. How do we use a process like this when there's a global narrative that's actually impacting our security in the moment? I think
Yeah. And
that's what I wanted to bring forward here because that's not exactly the process that I just did, but it's certainly the thing that many people are going through in this moment.
right. So I want to clarify here. If it is affecting you right now in this moment, this process is exactly what you want to do. You want to separate it from your timeline. If it's something that's not automatically a problem, it's a thought, there's collective information out there. It's not, I don't see it directly in my future timeline, but it's out there. Like, is it influencing how your body feels? Is it influencing your physiology, right? Are you feeling very associated to it? So those are the things that we want to take into consideration and still lightly go through this process because you're like, okay, I don't see it directly in my future right now. It's not like right there, but I feel it, in my body somewhere. It's kind of like hovering over me and it's impacting me to some level. And that's where we want to, okay, I'm still getting some type of emotional charge from this, but it's not future linked. And so it may be influencing me peripherally, around me. And I still want to push that farther away structurally, take it away a little bit farther. Um, Again, if it's providing or producing an unwanted type of experience for us today, right?
Right.
And that's,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting because, so we did the process and then I'm thinking about the people that might be listening to it, the people that might be affected by it. Um, and I'm wanting to make sure that we offer it in to all ways that certain things might be affecting you. So, thanks for that clarification. I do think that that was very helpful.
Yeah. So this is one NLP process, right? There's many NLP processes and within timeline work, there's a lot that can be done within it as well. But what I want to state about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I'll also link in the description one of a video that explains NLP if you haven't seen that one as well. NLP is about state management and being able to structurally influence data that's coming at us and coding that information within our body, within our mind in a way that serves us to the best possible way for our experience here. And this is why I I love NLP on its own. I fuse it with spirituality. I fuse it like it's all connected to everything. Because to me it is. But again, it's not just about like mechanically let's move things around. It's about let me manage my state. I just got laid off. I just got, in a fight with my husband or my wife. Let me bring the resources that I have that I know I've either had in the past, that I know that when I envision Diana in my future, Diana has those resources. Let me bring them in today. And that's where timeline work also can be very powerful because we could access those resources to help us manage the state, the emotions that we're feeling. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. Let's see what our listeners feel like about that.
Okay, yeah. So we've reduced the intensity. We're reducing the intensity of what we're feeling with the world today, with the things that are happening today, and the things that are always going to be occurring. Right? They're going to continuously happen. And what I'd like to bring is just in these tools that have helped me manage my life, shifted my entire life through certain events in my life, loss of jobs, death in my family, all these, deep, emotionally, heavily charged events, reduce the intensity to where I could feel like I still have some type of authority in my life, right? I'm not just completely lost and feel like I don't even want to continue. I work with lost moms, those who have lost a baby, and it feels like that. And most people that are going through events are in are actively part of these events, like, things are happening in their country right now. It's completely deteriorating every aspect of that person. It feels like it. Soul, spirit, mind, everything, right? Everything just feels like it's crumbling down. And this tool, right, is just one way to help us manage that and help us feel like, okay, I could feel everything I have to feel, but there's a tool or there's something that could also help me manage that and move forward in a way that I feel good with, at peace with. I want to say at peace with, because it's not about what everyone else is doing and how everyone else is doing it. It's personal to you. The way you described your timeline, that's how you feel time. It's different to the how I feel time. Most people feel their future is to the right of them and their path is to the left of them. And some people feel like their past is like right behind their head. And for those, that could be a little bit even more tough because they feel like their past is like pushing them or really hovering over them, really making them feel um, a certain way, and it's not allowing them to think clearly. So that's how like for this process, when we are identifying how is that encoded spatially around us, time, these events, how has it been coded around us? We identify them, we're like, oh, we could actually, let me like shrink it a little bit, move it farther away. We could feel the dissociation that we're having with that event now. We could think a little bit more
Yeah.
clearly,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's very the people who have their past feeling like it's very, very close and right up on their head. You probably would find that in a lot of trauma
Mm,
cases.
yeah.
And, just listening to you talk about these things, it's very interesting to me because we're in this conversation about the global narratives and about the kind of the chaos and the collapse of systems right now. And it's interesting because I'm thinking about it as I'm listening to you and I'm realizing, with the world and the systems crumbling around us, we have this unique opportunity to realize how much we've believed this system or that system is part of our identity. And if it's crumbling, we feel like we're crumbling. But what if this is a moment to choose our agency and this is a moment to dissociate from that system, from that crumbling thing and realize I'm not crumbling. I can move. There's no reason why I don't have a future just because that system is crumbling. If I move that outside of my direct timeline, if I move that system into my past or outside of me, then that crumbling thing is just a crumbling thing. It's not a crumbling me.
Right. And to add to that is like, what good is it for those of us who feel that we're here to kind of anchor in a new earth or a new experience for all of us if we're anchored into this global narrative? Right? How are we to bring in a new world? How are we to bring in positivity in life if we're stuck in this global narrative? Right? And
Hmm?
it's interesting because, for me, like, I've never been a political person. I'm informed there's things in there. I'm like, "Oh, okay," but I've never been actively triggered by it, and it has pissed off a lot of people. Like, it pisses off, a lot of people. My mom is one of them. She's very actively, political. I've lost friendships because I just don't feel fused to that. I don't want to I don't even feel it within me to be part of those conversations, or I mean, I'll be informed, I'll listen to it, but I feel very anchored to what I'm working towards and what I'm doing. And being very deeply associated with that doesn't help me at all. It doesn't help me achieve anything that I want it to. So it's thinking about it that way too. Is like, okay, again, I think moments in time, it's natural where we're like, okay, like diving deep, but then like, okay, the awareness of how is it making me feel? Where is it sitting in my body? And then being able to work through a process, which we're going to continue sharing here and keep having conversations on, so that we could work through them and not let it
Absolutely.
take over us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we have taken up an interesting amount of time today on this discussion on time and timelines. So, thank you so much to everybody who tuned in and stayed with us through this. I think it's a really unique way of looking at something. Thank you, Diana, so much for walking me through this process. It helped me clear a little bit of heaviness that I've been carrying this week. So I really appreciate that. And the clients who I'm going to continue seeing after we're finished recording will also appreciate that I was able to clear that before I went into my next session. Thank you for spending this time with us today. If this conversation resonated with you, helped you feel seen, or expanded something in you, we would love for you to stay connected. Make sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode, and share this with someone who's also awakening on their journey. And if you feel called, please leave us a comment. It helps this message reach more people who are realigning with their truth, and it helps us feel connected to you. You can always reach out to us or join the conversation at realignedpod@gmail.com. We are building a community of humans waking up inside the dream, and we're so grateful you're part of it. Until next time, stay curious, stay awake, and stay realigned.